I interviewed Eminem about a fortnight before he became absolutely immense in the United Kingdom. He was already fairly big in America, but for reasons I have never fully unravelled, his record company decided that the place to do his first big British media interview was the Sunday Express, where, among many other jobs at the time, I was the music critic. So it had a readership that was, it's probably fair to say, fonder of Val Doonican and Barbara Cartland than any other newspaper in the country, but Warner Brothers decided, I think it was Warner Brothers, might have been Polydor, anyway, it doesn't matter, does it? They decided that the Sunday Express and my interview slot was the best place to introduce the British public to Eminem. And, I mean, you've heard in the bulletin there, Holly detailing the controversy that he has found himself caught up in. And this is going to be quite a difficult one to negotiate, because the terrorist attack at that Ariana Grande concert at the Manchester Arena shook us, didn't it, to our core. It was the first one that really occurred in a way that felt, well, there were happy children being very, very deliberately targeted. I know you can't really have gradations of outrage and evil, can you? But there was something so completely despicable about the idea of targeting happy children that it shook us, perhaps in ways that even other terrorist atrocities haven't shaken us. And Eminem has decided to reference this on his latest album. I mean, that's just what he does. Here's the line. I'm contemplating yelling bombs away on the game like I'm outside of an Ariana Grande concert waiting. It was last year or 2 years ago that he referenced this again in what's called a freestyle rap battle, which is, if you've seen the film 8 Mile, you'll know this is where you compete to rap off the cuff with each other, and the plan is that one of you will completely destroy the other with your lyrical dexterity. So squashed in between a brainwashing machine like an Islamic regime, a jihadist extreme radical suicide bomber that's seeing Ariana Grande sing her last song of the evening, and so it goes on. I am going to read it in full, and I am going to remind you that there was a caveat at the beginning of this interlude where it was stated nothing is off limits to get a reaction from the crowd. Ariana Grande sing her last song of the evening, and as the audience from the damn concert is leaving, detonates the device strapped to his abdominal region. I'm not going to finish that for obvious reasons. Understandably, some of the mothers and fathers of children who died in the attack are fairly unhappy, fairly unimpressed. He also, though, compares himself to Saddam Hussein. He compares himself to Ayatollah Khomeini. He makes all manner of comparisons. And my question for you is whether or not this is, what's the word I'm looking for? He's just doing what Eminem does, isn't he? What do you do? Here you go. This is a question for our ages. What do you do if somebody is deliberately trying to offend you for money or clicks? And I stress I'm quite a big admirer of his work generally. I don't like this at all. I really don't like this at all, and I'd file it under utterly unnecessary. There's no way that the quality of this album, I haven't heard it yet, but there's, for me, no way that the quality of this album could have been measurably enhanced by the presence of a reference to the human detritus that was responsible for the Manchester Arena terror attack. So it's possible I'm out of the loop a bit as well on the kind of the genre-based observations that might be relevant here, but take anyone you want, someone who deliberately sets out to be offensive. Normally it would be a newspaper columnist or someone who does this for a living. Very, very deliberately trying to put, like a white bloke telling black people that they don't know what racism is, but he does. That kind of, just some people, of course, aren't clever enough to realise that they're being provocative. They are sincere, but most of the people doing that for a living are cashing large cheques while laughing all the way to the bank at the people that they've whipped up into a state of righteous indignation. Trust me. I just want to know what you think about this, because either I'm getting old, and where once I would have said, oh, get over yourselves, you can rap or sing about anything, or or there is a sort of change in the air, and it feels to me as if get the words right on this one, because he's just doing what Eminem has always done. His very, very first track, I tell you now, I've just remembered, and it's not comparable to a terrorist attack, of course it isn't, but I got asked to remove a line from my interview with him 20-odd years ago, because it referenced a lyric on his first album about how much he wanted to impregnate a Spice Girl. Now, isn't that an interesting mark of how things have changed? I don't think anyone would really take offence at that anymore, would they? It's almost innocuous in its content, and yet that was enough for the editor of the Sunday Express to ring me up in the pub and say, I think we might have to take some lines out of this interview. And I thought, well, which lines? And that was the one that offended. So Eminem has always sought to shock in whatever way possible. And I want you to tell me whether or not you would file his reference to the terror attack at the Ariana Grande concert at the Manchester Arena under Eminem doing what Eminem does, or whether you might, like me, feel that this is a little bit different, but unlike me, you'll be able to articulate it. Okay? 0345 60 60 973. I really don't like this, but I think that is just me being of an age and an outlook where artists setting out to be deliberately shocking and deliberately provocative and deliberately outrageous, very occasionally they get to me and I am actually shocked.